Hi, my name is Bridget Moan, and during this presentation, I will go over the steps I took this semester to improve my critical reading skills. First off are the reader response worksheets. This reader response worksheet that is on your screen is the last one we submitted for this class. It is for the story A Rose for Emily. The reader response theory consists of multiple components. First off is the section where we describe our first thoughts, then we document any questions that we may have. Lastly are the questions pertaining to our understanding of the reading. These questions include: how does the second reading change your initial understanding? What cultural or historical references are you unfamiliar with? What questions do you have for the author? What other questions would you like to research online? And lastly, how might you respond to the work's message? I enjoyed the reading response theory worksheets because the questions forced me to dig a bit deeper into the story and allowed me to break down the stories in order to find a better understanding. Throughout the semester, I used a few different reading strategies that I think work best for me. For annotations, I used highlighting and underlining. As for a second reading furthers my understanding because there is always a new detail to be discovered that you may have missed the first time you read the story. In the picture presented, it shows the second reading part of the reader response worksheet. In the picture presented, it is for the story A Rose for Emily. If I had not read it twice, I do not think that I would have recognized the distinct parallel between Emily's father and Homer Barron. I use sticky notes on each page to summarize the content so it's easy for a refresher. Using a dictionary is very helpful and a great tool when it comes to reading. Not only does it improve your understanding of the story, but it also widens your vocabulary. It is always helpful to research the author and where the story comes from. This background information can give you a leg up on understanding the story presented. My favorite digital tool application was Flipgrid. Flipgrid gave us the opportunity to interact with our classmates and hear other perspectives of the stories we were reading. Flipgrid acted as our own little book club. As for connections, I made a connection to my class Critical Thinking, which is another class I'm currently taking. The mindset is very similar in both classes. In both classes, we have to use our resources to critically judge situations as well as literature. As for challenges, the biggest challenge I had this semester was our poetry unit. Poetry has always been an area I struggled with even in high school. Poetry is rarely straightforward and needs to be heavily dissembled. In order to find the message, poetry in my mind has always symbolized a puzzle. The poem presented on your screen is First Encounter. I enjoyed this poem and was able to understand the themes and message pertaining to this man's life, which is now owned and honored by his country. I believed what helped me with the understanding and reading of this poem was our reading of the things they carried. This prepared me and put me into the right mindset to understand a war poem since they shared similar themes. The most memorable piece of literature that we read this semester was The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. This narrative made such an imprint on me due to the unexpectedness of the story. The reader doesn't exactly know what's going on until the last few pages. Mrs. Hutchinson seems to have no problem with what is going on until she is the one who is chosen. I believe Jackson used the story in order to show how inhumane people can be when they are not aware of alternate choices. My aha moment came with this painting. The painting on your screen is called Attack at Twilight by Roger Blum. To the right is the poem I wrote to describe the feelings I thought were shown through the painting. My aha moment was when I was able to compose my own poetry. We were assigned to write a poem pertaining to a painting, and this particular poem was able to be composed easily. This made me realize and discover that composing a decent poem was not out of reach for me. Lastly, here is my works cited.